Hello and welcome to another episode of the Best You interview series. It's Gary here again. Thank you, as always, for taking the time to tune in to this episode. And today I'm delighted to be joined by entrepreneur, self-healing coach, and author Chris Terzakos, who is here to discuss his thoughts on how we live and die healthy. Chris's published books include Hernia Without Surgery, Natural Testosterone After 60, and Belonging to Yourself, which we'll get a chance to talk about today. Chris was born and raised in New York City and spent over 35 years in leadership roles, helping and mentoring people in the business world associated with unions and organising their members. Chris worked on several high-profile projects, building airport terminals and the largest casino in the United States of America, which is very impressive. Chris has been an active athlete for most of his life, and his passion for health and fitness started very early in life. From adolescence into adulthood, he faced many ups and downs and adversities and wondered why it had to be that way. After losing loved ones and several relationships, Chris finally realised that he needed a shift that would change the relationship he had with himself, which we'll talk about a little bit later too. Today, Chris dedicates his life to self-healing and self-growth by connecting to his own natural wisdom, being open to learning, and connecting genuinely with others with the intention of helping to improve their lives. Very impressive, Chris. Thank you very, very much for joining me today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on your show.
I'm delighted to have you, delighted to have you. So firstly, New York, growing up in New York must have been quite the unique experience, for anyone. Obviously, it's a very storied, very famous tier one city in the world, probably the most famous city in the world. How did your early experiences in New York shape your approach to leadership and personal growth within your life?
Well, good question. When you grow up in New York, there's two lives in New York. Either you grow up in the streets or you grow up with strict parents that keep you in school, from preschool to high school to college. That's another life.
Yeah.
My life was, I grew up in the streets.
Yeah.
So all my learnings came from the street. And it's pretty similar to business. So whatever you learn in the street, you will learn it in business eventually.
Yeah.
You don't read it out of a book. So if you have that other life that you went to school, you read everything from a book. But I actually lived it, I experienced it, I got the wisdom to express it, to talk about it. And so I grew up in the streets of New York, tough neighborhood. You don't need to be a tough guy in New York. You just need to be a stand-up guy.
Yeah.
Now what's the definition of a stand-up guy? A guy with honor, a guy with respect. You respect people. You tell the truth. You don't rob or steal from people. And that's a stand-up guy. Now, if you weren't a stand-up guy, then you got repercussions, in New York, especially when you're growing up from the streets.
Yeah.
So that's how I was raised. I'm from the street. I learned everything to become a leader. I was a leader back then, growing up in the streets. I was never involved into drugs and never got involved into alcohol. I had a couple of drinks on a Friday or Saturday night, but I was never an alcoholic. I was never a drug addict. I always was into fitness. I played baseball. I almost became a professional baseball player. That didn't happen, and that's okay. And then I went into construction, and that led me to become a leader.
Yeah, I love it. My favorite New York story. I took my son to New York when he was just a baby. He was 9 months old, and we were walking down to Times Square. It was actually quite early in the morning. I can't remember why we were up so early. And I'm standing on a street corner, just waiting, and I've got the stroller, and it's not set up for strollers, to get around. So packed, so busy, and such.
Yeah.
And I'm standing at the lights waiting to cross. And then I hear this woman behind me, very thick New York accent, and she
Mm.
is just effing and blinding and effing and all the words,
Yeah.
and I was desperate to turn around And I thought, you know what? Like, I don't know if I should turn around and then I might be the subject of the next tirade that comes out of her mouth. And I thought, I can't not turn around. I have to see who this is. So then I turned
Sure.
around, this is back in 2009, and I turned around and honestly, the most beautiful businesswoman set up, so well put together, just everything about her, and she is just giving it big
Mm,
style into the phone. And I thought, I love it here. I just
mm,
absolutely love it. It just felt like home, just that passion, just that I'm going
yeah.
to tell you exactly how I feel. There's not going to be any ambiguity after we have this conversation. And then moving on from there. Thankfully, I never caught her eye, so I wasn't subject to any of that. But I understand in terms of, you get an opportunity to choose your path. And whether you're going to be stand up, whether you're going to be something different, and you'll get treated and probably rewarded, and accordingly to that too. So to talk to your books, I wanted to talk. Each of your books has a very specific message. We had an opportunity to chat about
Sure.
this just prior to recording. But let's start with Hernia Without Surgery. I think this is such a fascinating story because it
Yeah.
details your journey of managing an inguinal hernia. Forgive me if I've pronounced that wrong, without any surgical intervention, much to the or much against the advice from your doctor. So, what were some like? Talk us through the journey. Actually, the journey is very interesting about this.
Exactly. So yeah, here's the book cover. The inguinal hernia is right there. See that little dot?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
right by your groin. So yeah, I got a hernia 15 years ago. So I got the hernia from obviously lifting heavy weights in the gym. So what happens? You pump the iron, boom, you perforate the holes through your skin, and out comes your body tissues, your intestines. So I go to a doctor. He looks at it. Obviously, you got a hernia. I said, okay. What do I do? He goes, we'll set you up next week for surgery. Wait. I said, Doc, wait, let me think about it. He goes, yeah, but you need surgery. Let me think it over. I went home. I started thinking, what to do, what to do. What am I going to do? I said, I'm not going to get surgery. I don't want them to cut me open. You know, not that I'm afraid. I just don't want like they put a mesh in inside your body for the rest of your life.
Right.
You know, it's almost like a hole in the wall. You put a piece of mesh in, you put plaster. It's
Yeah.
almost the same exact technique, basically, but it's your body. So I said, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to figure out how I can self heal. And that's what I did. I did a lot of studying. I did a lot of tests. I'm the Billy Goat. Uh, First thing is when you have a hernia, you have to accept that you got this hernia. That's the first thing. And you have to have a positive mindset. So if you're out there and people listening to this podcast today, you have a hernia, you don't need surgery. You don't need it. You just follow the steps, what your body wants. Your body knows how to heal on its own,
Mhm.
but you have to follow these steps. Now, that's why I wrote the book, because all my steps, they some worked, some didn't work, and the ones that worked, I wrote it in the book just to share it with the world, with the universe. So 15 years ago, I got a hernia, no surgery. Uh, I go to the gym. I'm still in the gym. I'm still active. I wear a hernia belt. There's 9 steps to my book. One of them, if you're going to continue to exercise while you have a hernia, I suggest that you buy a hernia belt. Put the belt on before your workout. When your workout's over, take the belt off. The reason for the belt is just so you don't make it worse
Yeah.
than what it could be. You hold it in, you push it back in, the belt's nice and tight, snug against the hernia. You can't hurt yourself anymore. That's it.
Yeah.
And then there's other steps. There's some Epsom salt baths you take. Stress is big. If you're stressed out, your hernia will act up. It will flare up if you're stressed. And there's different ways to release stress that are all mentioned inside of this book.
Yeah.
So I elected not to have the surgery. I don't want a foreign object in my body. I do know someone who did get the mesh surgery, and they had so many complications after that. And they're sorry they even got it. So that's why I wrote this book.
And was that key to your decision? Had that person had that experience prior to your decision not to go for surgery, or was that something that you discovered afterwards?
Actually, it was a podcast host. It was afterwards.
Really?
I was on a podcast. The host, it was a woman. She had a hernia, same place.
Yeah.
And she had so many complications. And I learned later, I found out later. She goes, she said to me, I wish I would have met you earlier. I never would have got the surgery.
Yeah.
I was like, I wish that you would have met me earlier, because look, look at me. I'm still doing what I do.
Yeah.
And the hernia, but by the way, the hernia was the size of a baseball. I'm going to say, look, it was about that big.
Yeah.
If you was to see my hernia now, my hernia is that small. You'll always have it because you perforated the holes in your skin.
Yeah.
That holes are not going to close up. But if you keep massaging around the muscle will close up and shrink. Look, it pushes down into the hernia, so the hernia goes back inside your body where it belongs.
Mm.
And that's how I live my life.
Yeah. How did your doctor react when you had just said, I'm going to take my own path?
He put his, obviously he put his head down. You know why? I know why he put his head down. Doctors are not like they used to be in my generation. Doctors came to your house. Doctors would always call you.
Yeah.
Today, it's like, you got insurance? It's about money today. Everything that a doctor hears, we got to do surgery, or we got to do treatments. Anything to generate more money. I get it. Everything's expensive, the bills, the houses, but come on, man. Come on. That's why I don't believe in conventional medicine. I don't take conventional medicine. If I have a headache, I don't take an aspirin or Tylenol. I don't take any of that.
Yeah.
I'm holistic, man. 100% holistic.
It's so interesting just discussing the doctor experience. I was listening to a podcast yesterday. It was about AI and the AI, what the developments could be in terms of medicine to get the medical profession back to what it used to be. And the example that the person had given was, think about the last time you went to the doctor. The doctor probably spent the majority of the time looking at a computer screen instead of looking at you. Yeah. And I thought, that's so true. Every time I go, my doctor comes in invariably late, invariably in a hurry. He sits down, he looks at the computer, he's talking to me as he's looking at the computer, he'll type some stuff onto the screen, and then he'll come over, there'll be a quick examination, and then he'll say, right, okay, beat it. And he'll tell me, what he thinks I should do, and go away. I thought, yeah, there's that human interaction. How does he truly know the person, the history, the lifestyle, like whatever else factors can contribute to their healthy situation or not?
Of course. The best way, Gary, this is the best way. Go to a diagnostic center, they call diagnostic centers here, and just go get blood exams. Like a PCA for your prostate, get your testosterone checked, check all your levels through the blood. You don't need to go to a doctor. They'll do it. Here in the United States, you walk into a center, for blood, they'll do it without a doctor's note or a doctor's consent. So if you want to really know what's going on with you, just get your blood exam. Yeah. Your blood will tell you exactly what's wrong with your body or what's going on inside of you. It's through your blood.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. So your book, Natural Testosterone After 60, talks about maintaining optimal testosterone levels naturally as we age and some of the challenges that can manifest around that. Can you share some of the natural techniques or habits that you would recommend for
Right.
others who are looking to sustain that as they age?
Okay, so here's my book. That was taken, I think, 9 months ago. It's not Photoshop. That's exactly what I look like. I'm 65 years old. The book says natural testosterone after 60. It doesn't have to be after 60
Yeah.
because every man starts to lose testosterone around the age of 30. It starts to decline. And there's a lot of reasons why testosterone declines. Um, one reason is pollution. Pollution will decrease testosterone, lack of sleep, eating unhealthy, not taking care of your body.
Yeah.
You're not exercising, eating fast food. These are all things. Oh, alcohol. If you're drinking, guess what? Testosterone declines. So stress releases also declines testosterone. So what do you got to do? Stop drinking alcohol. You got to get off sugar. Sugar is probably the number one thing that you need to get off. If you want to increase testosterone, you can't be on any sugar. Sorry. Get rid of the donuts, the cookies, the cakes, the sugar in your coffee. And let me explain to you why. Sugar, when you eat it, the insulin goes up. Now, when insulin goes up, what follows the insulin? Estrogen. What are two blockers of testosterone? Estrogen and insulin. They block the production of testosterone.
Right.
So it's obvious what I just said, that you need to get off the sugar. You got two blockers there, insulin and what did I just say? Insulin
Estrogen.
and estrogen. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I lost my train of thought. So you got to get off of that. Okay. What do you do to increase testosterone? To increase testosterone, you got to eat healthy. I eat grass-fed meat. Meat's good. It increases testosterone. You got to eat mussels. If you like mussels, seafood, seafood will increase testosterone. Chopped up ginger. This is a good recommendation. If you can chop up fresh ginger, chop it up, eat a teaspoon a day. That's all you need. That's about 5 ounces of ginger. Eat a teaspoon of ginger every single day or 5 days a week. You don't have to do 7 days, 5 days a week. Watch your testosterone increase by 17.4% just by eating ginger, because ginger increases blood flow, and testosterone loves blood flow.
Yeah.
That's how you produce testosterone, through blood flow. That's why it's good to exercise. When you exercise, you increase blood flow.
Mm.
So those are two keys there. Now, sleep. If you get a good night's sleep, say minimum of 7 hours, maximum of 9. While you're sleeping, Gary, your body's producing two things. It produces testosterone and it produces human growth hormone. And those are the two key things that we need as men. We need human growth hormone and we need testosterone. So good night's sleep is essential to increase testosterone. And I put all these elements together. I have some supplements that I could talk about, all natural, all plant-based supplements help increase testosterone naturally. You don't need to go on TRT. That's another thing. You go to a doctor, you got low testosterone. This is what happened. My doctor says to me, you're a candidate for TRT. I said, I know. He goes, so you want me to set you up? I said, Now, let me think about it. Same thing I did with the hernia. Different doctor, though. I said, TRTs for the rest of your life. Now, I'm not against TRT because some people can't produce testosterone, so they have to go on TRT.
Yeah.
Testosterone replacement therapy. So if that's the last resort, I get it. You go on TRTs for the rest of your life. It's a regimen. You take a shot every week. You just got to get your levels checked. You got to check your prostate.
Yeah.
You got to check your heart. You got to donate blood, by the way, every 3 months, because when you're on testosterone, your blood thickens.
Right.
And when your blood gets thick, two things can happen: heart attack or stroke. So you got to donate blood every 3 months.
Yeah.
Now that's a life that I prefer not to have.
Yeah.
Then you got to go to a doctor once a month. He checks you out. I'm not sitting in the doctor's office for an hour or 2 hours. Well, you got 10 patients in front of me. I'm not doing that. So I went out. I took hours and hours, Gary. I read, I researched, went on the computer. I tried everything. And my testosterone level, and by the way, the two exams are in the book, the before and the after.
Yeah.
Now, the first exam, it came back at 81 nanograms. 81 nanograms is horrible. It's horrific. You have to go on TRT. When I saw that number, I said 81. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Anything lower than 250 nanograms, you got to start working on your testosterone.
Right.
Now, every man should be between 300 and I say 600.
Okay.
Or 300 to 500. 600 is a little pushing it, but you should be between those areas. Now, when you're 18 years old, your testosterone is like 900.
Yeah.
You're full of go. You were 18 years old. You know how it is.
Yeah.
And but it declines when you hit 30. It starts to go down. So yeah. So I can give you a couple of points. Good night's sleep. Some fresh ginger. You got to eat that ginger. It really works. Exercise. Big thing. Now, there's one thing that I want to share about the androgen receptors in your body. Now, just think of a bunch of wires, they're receptors, right?
Yeah.
If those androgen receptors are not working, there's no sense. The testosterone, it can't flow through all the receptors. So you got to wake up the receptors in your body. So when the testosterone runs in your blood through those receptors, it transmits to your brain, your muscle, your prostate, your bones. So that's how it works, testosterone, through your androgen receptors. Now, if your androgen receptors are not working, that's important. This is something that a lot of people don't talk about, but I'm going to talk about it because it's really essential. Now, how do you activate the androgen receptors in your body? There's a few things that you can do. One is exercise. Once you exercise, it opens up all the receptors in your body. Yeah, you have receptors, your shoulders, your neck, your back, your legs. All these receptors, they're all over your body. Now, when the blood's flowing, testosterone is in the blood, it's flowing right through the receptors, and it's working on all the key elements of your body. And the most important is your brain. Testosterone needs to flow through the brain because it's good for dopamines, your serotonins, it puts you in a good mood. So, coffee. Now, don't go out and drink 10 cups of coffee a day. 1 cup, maybe 2 cups the most of coffee. Coffee, the caffeine will activate the androgen receptors and it will spark them and wake them up. Yeah. So you got exercise, coffee. I mentioned oysters, eating oysters. Oysters are really, really high in zinc, and we need zinc in our body. Zinc will increase testosterone by about 25 or 27% is zinc. So if you like oysters, eat as many as you can because it'll increase testosterone and also it wakes up the androgen receptors in your body.
Yeah.
Spicy food, another good item. If you eat spicy food, if you can eat it, it's good for blood flow.
Mm.
And I said blood flow, once that blood is going, it's increasing testosterone. So, yeah, so I gave you a couple of them. There's a supplement, it's called L-carnitine.
Right.
This supplement here will also wake up your androgen receptors.
Right.
So I take the L-carnitine, I take it 4 days a week. I'll do it like on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then 3 days off.
Mm.
And then obviously I drink 1 cup of coffee a day. I eat oysters once a week. I eat spicy food once a week. I eat ginger every single day. I eat ginger. So these are all key, all natural items. There's so much more that I can to talk about.
Yeah.
But these are key items to increase your testosterone naturally.
And when you say coffee, is it caffeine or is it coffee specifically?
Caffeine.
Caffeine.
Caffeine will wake those androgen receptors up. Caffeine.
Yeah.
The best is exercise. Nothing's better than exercise. I'm sorry. Exercise. I work out 5 days a week. I'm in the gym. I kick ass. I used to spend 2 hours in the gym. Now I do an hour, maybe an hour and 10 minutes, like that.
Yeah.
I don't overdo it no more. Remember, I'm 65 years old. I'm not competing. I'm not a bodybuilder, but that's what I look like.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. So for folks that are listening and not watching, the book cover has Chris on the book cover there, and no joke. If you're only listening, just go to the YouTube channel and watch this one part. He looks not even 40 years old on the cover, and as mentioned a couple of times, 65 years old. Absolutely incredible feat in looking after yourself. So then moving on to belonging to yourself.
Sure.
You talk about the importance of self-awareness and personal growth there. What I'd like to know the journey of that book, and then once you talk about the journey, what advice would you give someone who's struggling with a sense of belonging, a sense of identity in today's kind of, let's just say, fast-paced world?
Right. Okay, so here's the cover of the book, right? Which I love. I love that I wrote the book. Thanks to my wife, by the way. My wife really encouraged me to write that book. It was a really, really tough journey to write that book. I mean, when I started writing the book, when you write a book, you do an outline first.
Yeah.
And while I was writing the outline, I told my wife, she's sitting in the room with me. I said, who would want this life? Look at this life. I wrote down, I don't know, maybe 20 things, on the outline so far. I said, who would want this life? I said, I'm not writing this book. She looked at me. She says, if you didn't have this life, you wouldn't be the person who you are today.
Yeah.
She said, honey, you got to write this book. You got to put the message out there.
Yeah.
So I said, all right. So there was times, writing the book, I had to stop for 3 days because emotionally, man, I would go start crying. Because you got to relive the life. You got to relive these moments that you're writing about. And so the bottom line is belonging to yourself is the title. All my life, I wanted to belong. I wanted to belong to a family. I come from a broken family. My mother and father got divorced when I was 7 years old. So we really had a broken family. We had our grandparents. Yep. We had my mom working 2 jobs. I never used to see my mother. And I always wanted to belong. So when I belonged to a group of guys like in the street growing up, like we belonged together. It was us.
Yeah.
When I was in a relationship, I did the same thing. It was me and you. We belonged to us. Always belonging. When I worked for a company, I worked for a company for 18 years when I went into construction. I belonged to that company.
Yeah.
But this is what I realized. I belonged to you, but you didn't belong to me. I was always wanting to, belonging. But I realized it wasn't a two-way street. It was one way. I belonged to you. When you were done with me, you
That was it.
you released me. But I would never do that to you. And I know where that comes from. That comes from growing up in the street. Remember, loyalty. We were taught to be loyal.
Yeah.
Be loyal to your brother. Be loyal to your best friends. So we grew up with loyalty.
Yeah.
Are people really loyal back? Are you sure? You got to ask yourself, are you sure? I don't know. In today's world, thank God I'm 65. I don't think anybody's loyal to anybody. There is no loyalty. Loyalty's gone. That's out the door. No more respect, honor. These are all the things that I grew up with. Respect, honor, truth, loyalty, integrity. We grew up with these kind of people. So in this book, belonging to yourself, relationships are talked about in this book, some family members in this book. I was betrayed by a really close family member. I think it was chapter 16 in this book. It was probably the biggest betrayal of my life, and I wrote about it. Relationship. I dated a girl. She said she was pregnant with my baby. It turned out 4 years later, DNA test, the baby was never mine. Stuff like that. I lost my best friend at the age of 20. He got murdered. And he got murdered of all the things that I'm talking about. He got murdered because he stepped on the wrong toes. He did things that he wasn't supposed to do, and it cost him his life.
Yeah.
And then 7 years later, I get a phone call. It was like real cold in New York, frozen. I think the snow turned to ice in the street. I get a phone call about 7 o'clock at night. It was my father. And he said, "You got to pick me up." I said, "Really? It's freezing outside, Dad." He goes, "Your sister died." I said, "Oh, shit." I said, "What sister?" Because I have 6 sisters.
Mm.
And he told me my sister Paula died. Paula was the oldest. I said, "Oh, really? How?" He said she was running. She had a pulmonary aneurysm. Now, my sister was a marathon runner. She was vegetarian, marathon runner. She was successful. She was a paralegal for a big law firm on Wall Street in New York City. She had her shit together.
Yeah.
I was like, so I went down, picked up my dad. We had to go to the morgue. Now, at the morgue, I don't know if anyone experienced this yet. That's probably the toughest thing that you can ever face is when you have to go identify a body that you love,
Yeah.
a body that you know that you're going to miss. And that's what we did, my dad and I. We went to the morgue, They pulled down the sheet. It was my sister. And that was a tough time in my life. After that, I got angry and I started acting out. I started doing things that I wasn't supposed to do. I wasn't robbing people, or nothing like that. I wasn't beating up people, stuff like that. I was just doing shit that I shouldn't have done, and I got caught. And I'm glad I got caught. Got arrested. I was facing 5 years in jail. I didn't go to jail. They gave me house arrest. I had to wear a bracelet on my leg for a year, but it was mandatory by the court that you have to do 4 years of anger management. And that's what I did. I said, okay. The first month of anger management was twice a week, anger management, by the United States government. It wasn't like you went to a therapist, regular therapist. This was from the government.
Yeah.
So the first month I went and I gave this poor lady, I gave her a hard time. And then after a month, I couldn't wait to go see her. Things were working out. I was feeling good. I was feeling happy again. I was feeling grateful again. I was feeling like it was working. So there was days, Thursday's here, good, anger management today. I couldn't wait. And I'd go. And then I did it for 4 years. And this is how I turned out to be. I'm here today helping people. I'm inspiring people. I'm a coach. People call me. Some people stay with me 3 months. Some stay, 6 months. But after 3 months talking to me, I know that they're on their way. And if they need to come back, some people do come back. I think 2 or 3 others that came back. And and that's what I do today.
Incredible. How inspirational do you think your anger management journey was to getting to the point where you want to use your expertise to be able to pay it forward?
Well, let's say this. There was a lot of changes in different situations that I was in that I knew the anger management was working. Mm-hmm. One of them was, it's actually pretty funny. I was at a red light, right? And I just got a brand new car. I mean, I think I had it a day or 2 days. I'm at a red light. Somebody hits me right in the back. Oh, no. In my bumper. Now, the old Chris, I would have got out and punch you right in the face first. I wouldn't even ask you a question. I just come out and punch you right in the face. Especially I got a brand new car.
Yeah.
This time, because the anger management worked. It was a good test, by the way. I got out. The guy got out of his car. I said, "You okay?" He said, Yeah. I'm really sorry. He said, my foot slipped off the brake and I hit your car. I said, "Yeah, I know." I said, "No problem." I said, "You got insurance? We'll just fix it with the insurance. We can repaint the bumper, but no problem." That's how I knew the anger management worked.
Yeah.
And that was a test. I don't know if it was a test from the universe. Was it a test from God? Testing me, like, are you going to do something like evil? And I didn't. I got away from that. And, other situations came up. People would, like, in a store would yell at me. You could yell at me. Just don't put your hands on me.
Yeah.
And I used to tell people, "Are you done yelling? You got it out of your system?" I said, "Have a nice day." The old Chris would never do that.
Yeah.
I go right to my truck, get my baseball bat. I remember we didn't grow up with guns. We had a baseball bat in the back of our car.
Yeah.
You know, so that's what I would normally do. Go get my baseball bat. But no, anger management worked. All these things that are happening, even when I'm coaching people, you know, they're faced with anger problems, and I get it. But, you know, life's not easy,
Yeah.
and people get angry, and you know, you have a right to say what you want,
Mhm.
but watch how you say it. You know, watch how you conduct yourself. You know, a true leader doesn't yell. You know, just say what you feel. You're allowed. In America, we say it's a free country. Say what you feel, and,
Yeah.
and that's it. Walk away. You don't need to hurt nobody. And you know, we all need to stop hurting one another and just come together like unity. And you know, become just one. Become one.
Yeah.
That's what God. That's what God wanted. That's why He brought us here.
Yeah. It's great in terms of the baseball bat analogy. It's not really an analogy, the baseball bat example that you provided there. I was going to come back to the baseball. You mentioned earlier you were almost a pro
Yeah.
baseball player. It didn't quite work out,
Mhm.
but you did take that passion for baseball and then created something out of that. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah. Well, I coached a baseball team, and the way it happened, it just happened like spontaneous. So I went back down to a league where I used to play. Because I used to like watching the games.
Mm.
You know, I'm a lot older now. They all knew me from the league. You know, I was an all-star player. I was most valuable player back then. There was plaques on the wall, you know, in the office, you know, who I was.
Yeah.
You know, even kids, you know, they walk, hey, you Chris? Yeah, yeah. To shake my hand. Hey, I saw yeah. I said, yeah, you saw the plaques? Yeah. So anyway, the president of the league, his name was Bobby. He said, Chris, you got a minute? I need to talk to you. I said, yeah, sure, Bob, what's up? So we went in his office. He said, I got to cancel the senior division. Now, the senior division baseball was from the ages of 17 to 20.
Right.
Now, you know, from 17 to 20 in the summertime in New York, if you're on the streets, you're in danger. A lot of things can happen. Okay. Uh, there's a lot of trouble. Um, you know, you can get caught up in drinking, you can get caught up in drugs, you can get caught up in a gang. You can get caught up getting beat up by a gang, which I did. I got beat up by a gang.
Right.
So anyway, I said, Bob, you can't do that. You cannot do that. He goes, Chris, I don't have the money. We don't have the money and we don't have a coach. I said, okay, how much money do you need? So he told me, I'll be right back. I went to my truck, came back, I wrote him a check. I said, here, now you got the money. What else? A coach. I said, you can't ask one of these guys here to coach the team? He goes, Chris, they can't coach this baseball. And what he meant by that was they can't coach this baseball. He meant that these were elite. This was like an elite league.
Yeah.
These were like just not kids throwing baseball. These were baseball players,
Yeah.
serious young athletes. So I get it. What he said, they can't coach these guys. So I said, okay, I'll coach the team. Where's the team? Give me the list of the names. He says, I don't have a list. I go, what do you mean you don't have a list? I don't have a list. I said, so you mean to tell me you got to recruit all of the players to create the team? He said, yeah. I said, oh shit, that's a big job, Bobby. So I went to my nearest park in my neighborhood. There was maybe 20 guys, or every day they played basketball, they were throwing baseballs around. I called them all over. They all knew me from the neighborhood. Come here, I want to talk to you guys. Like, what's up? Anybody here, just raise your hand. Anybody here play organized baseball before? One guy go, yeah, I did when I was 12 years old. And another guy said, yeah, I did too. Yeah. Oh, you did? Okay, good. Would you guys like to play organized baseball? This is serious stuff. And they go, yeah, we would love to. Good. Meet me Saturday morning. I told them the field to meet me at. Meet me at this baseball field. Come Saturday morning, 9 o'clock. Don't be late. They all showed up. About 16 guys, 14 guys showed up. So we started talking, started practicing. So as the days were going on with practice, me as a leader, I was looking to see what am I lacking here? So I went out to these Catholic high schools where they play serious baseball. And I started recruiting pitching because that's what I was lacking. I didn't have good pitching. Pitching, they say, wins baseball games. So I started recruiting pitching. So I think I found 4 or 5 guys. I watched them play. After the game, I'd walk up, introduce myself. One guy's name was Jose Velez. I said, would you like to play for a summer tournament? This is like elite baseball. You can enhance, your game. You can get better at your game. Sure. So I formulated them and I put them with the street guys. Now, what happened, Gary, when I first introduced them, oh, it was a disaster. It was like like a bomb just blew up. They didn't get along. Street guys and these Catholic high school guys, they didn't get along. Now, I get it. Some of these players that came from these schools, these good schools, these Catholic high schools, they thought they were better than you.
Yeah.
And then the street guys, because you're not from the street, they thought that, you were a punk, like you were a weakling because you weren't from the streets.
Yeah.
So they clashed. Now, what did I do? How am I going to fix this? I can't take sides. So I said, listen, Saturday, I want all you guys to come. We're going to have a barbecue. So from the barbecues so they can get friendly with each other.
Yeah.
Then tomorrow, I said, tomorrow we'll go going bowling. We're going to have a bowling tournament, all of us. And they're like, really? Yeah. I paid for everything. I took care of everything. And then I started seeing friendship. They were getting along. The relationship was getting better on the field. Yeah. They were helping one another now. I was like, wow, this is pretty good. So whatever I was doing, without talking much, it was working.
Yeah. And
that's why I put this team together. I was their friend, but during the game, at game time, I was their coach, and they knew it.
Yeah.
And that's how we won 3 championships, 3 years in a row with the same guys. We won 3 championships.
Incredible. Absolutely.
And that was glory. Gary, I could cry every time I tell that story because it was so meaningful.
Yeah.
I inspired them. Even like later on, like some of the guys now, they were 21, 22 years old. They needed help. I got a couple of guys in the union. Well, one guy became a carpenter union guy. Another guy became a plasterer in the union. Yeah. Other guys went to college. So they didn't become professional baseball players, but guess what? They got a leadership education.
Yeah, absolutely. And a meaningful life experience too.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. That was actually really good. I mean, I know it's on my website. So if you're listening, the audience is listening, healingwarriors.com is on my website. You'll see all the articles. You'll see the pictures, the stories.
Yeah, fabulous. Yeah. So this is called the Best You podcast, as you know. And what I like to ask each guest prior to letting them go is, what is one regular practice that you haven't mentioned today yet that you employ that enables you to continue to be the best version of yourself?
Well, I didn't mention And that's a good, great question. Whatever you do in life, just be dedicated. Two things: dedicated and disciplined. If you could discipline yourself and be dedicated to whatever you need to be dedicated to, it could be to your kids, to your wife, it could be to your job, it could be to your hobbies. Just be dedicated.
Yeah.
Because dedication leads to the effort of success. So it goes from dedication and then it goes up to effort and then up higher is success. So dedication, discipline, and whatever your goal is or whatever your mission that you're trying to accomplish, do not, I'm going to say it again, do not allow anyone to stop you. Once you see that you're getting negativity from or vibes that they're shooting you down, oh, you want to do that? Why do you want to do that for? You know what? You got to disconnect.
Yeah.
You got to disconnect yourself. Don't allow anyone to stop you from what you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. Absolutely sage advice. So I know you mentioned the website there. Just before I let you go, Chris, is there anywhere else that people can find you or find out more about you?
It's healingwarriors.com is the website. I have a YouTube channel. You can find me on Instagram. So all my social media is out there. My phone number is on my website. My email address is on my website. So yeah, I'm here. If you need to contact me, you got any things you want to talk about, I'm here.
Fabulous. Chris, thank you very, very much again. This has been such an enlightening and an inspirational conversation today. I can't thank you enough.
Thank you so much. I talk from the heart, man. I appreciate you.
Hello again. Thanks again for tuning in to this episode, and I do hope that you found it valuable and gained some insights. I do have an ask for you. If you enjoyed this podcast, I would absolutely love it if you would connect with me on my socials, and that's at LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. Just search for my name and do whatever it is you need to do there to follow me and stay updated with all the latest content, tips, and discussions. And for any more resources that you're looking for, feel free to visit my website, garygillen.com. And while you're there, you can book a free, no obligation 30-minute coaching call directly with me through the site. Whether you're looking to enhance your performance or tackle a new challenge, I'm absolutely here to help you succeed, and I would absolutely love to hear from you. Thanks very much again, and until next time, keep pushing towards your goals and getting better each and every day, my friend.